Hey, Andrew.
Yes, Stephen?
You know how we romanticize the days of going out to our local video store and sifting through endless amounts of movies, searching for our favorite films, and maybe even finding some hidden gems?
Oh, yes, I know it all too well. That used to be my favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, everything is online now.
Well, what if I told you that there was a place online where you could get some of them same thrills as going to the video store?
Are you talking about Orbit DVD?
I knew you knew what I was talking about. Orbit DVD is located in Asheville, North Carolina, and online with OrbitDVD.com, they bring you everything your physical media heart desires.
Yeah, they have an awesome website that stays up to date with the latest releases from all of your favorite boutique labels as well as studio releases. Not only do they carry American labels such as Criterion Collection, Severin Films, Vinegar Syndrome, and Warner Archive, but they get routine shipments on imports from companies such as 88 Films, Arrow Video, Imprint, and so much more.
And with the option to sell or trade your used copies for cash or store credit, they really bring that video store vibe to you. So go to OrbitDVD.com and stock up on your Blu-rays.
And tell them Chasing Labels sent you.
And welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings. And with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew, watching the Oscars Cabral. How you doing?
Doing good, Stephen. Doing good. I am multitasking for the evening. Right now, I'm looking at Samuel L. Jackson and Jennifer Connelly on the screen while I'm looking at your dashing self.
Damn.
What a mashup! What a mashup! Mashup of different people doing different things. Yeah, we are back here once again this week for an all-new, fun-filled, brand-new episode of Chasing Labels. Remind me, Stephen, what spy number are we on now?
We're at the sweet number of number 9090.
90.
Spy
90,
number
nice.
90.
Sweet.
and-
We have embarked on a new decade
Yeah,
or a new
Once again, you
numbers.
equate the you
You have
equate
to you have to equate numbers with time. I think they're just so closely associated.
Okay,
now.
Richard Linklater. All right.
It's either time or age. It's
we're
either one of the two.
We're doing this podcast every 10 years. we do one podcast every 10 years to see how our movie taste has changed.
It's either the year 1990 or we're 90 years old. There's no in between. There's no other way to look at it.
It was just my birthday this past weekend.
It was.
A day
I was
ago.
Bring that up.
Yeah.
Speaking
it's the 12th
of time
now.
and age.
My birthday was yesterday on the 11th. So it's pretty good. I'm 34 now. Yeah, great.
Nice.
Awesome.
I hate when people ask like the generic questions like, "Oh, how do you feel? Like, do you feel a year old?" And it's like, "No." No, I don't.
No.
I feel like I did 2 days ago or the day before.
When I was 33, I feel the same.
I feel the same. There's no incremental difference once you reach a certain point in your life.
But what if like you changed age and suddenly something on your body fell off or like it just like gave out? You're like, Jesus Christ, now I know I'm 34.
You mean like all of a sudden? Like,
just all of a sudden, as
off,
soon as the time changes over, you're like, shit. And then like you've lost a limb or something.
I get, yeah. That stuff seems to be more gradual over time.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like a slow decline, like a slow break.
That's how it is in reality. But I'm just saying that it would be weird. But I do want to say before we get into this, slate of releases this week, please, we released on Friday. We released our supersized discussion with Kat Ellinger. She returned to talk with us, and we primarily focused on, her new documentary that was she produced with Arrow Video. That's on the Arrow Player app. It's called Orchestrator of Storms, the Fantastique World of Jean Rollin. So that's her new documentary that she co-directed, and it's fantastic. Please go check out that, and of course. We also talked about her new podcast called The Working Class Feminist. And as I said in the posts with this this particular interview. There's a lot of political talk in it. We equate a lot of political stuff to film, and just talk some politics in general. So if that's not your thing, maybe you should skip that one. But I
Yeah,
do
it was
think that
less yeah, it was less movie based. Well, not really, because we
it
talk a lot about Jean Roland, but
with
we did
that,
talk
and
a lot more about other things.
we did talk about a lot of political things that relate to films, subject matters, and we make it back around to talking about working class films that are about the working class towards the end of the podcast. But it's, it is one that when you're passionate about something, you're talking about something like Kat Ellinger is very passionate about politics. It goes down rabbit holes sometimes, but it's still, I think, a very interesting conversation. I think it's worth checking out, and so please go
Very
over and
much
do
so.
that. And
If you're a fan of hers, definitely do so. Initially, it was supposed to be kind of a usual, attachment to this episode, but once it got past, I think, a certain point,
Once it got
Stephen
past
made
like the once it got past like the hour 45 mark, starts to get a little bit
a little dicey about
up in
like,
the air. Like, we just had David O'Reilly on last time, and his was around that about an hour 45, and I attached that. And then so once you get past like that mark, it starts to get like, well, I'll just separate it because it's pretty long.
yeah, you can find that interview either on our podcast feed or on our YouTube channel,
Yes,
Chasing Labels.
yes. But so please go check that out. Go follow Kat and everything she's doing. And with that said, please, of course, go follow all our stuff. Go to the YouTube channel. Go to the Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever we go. Please follow us. Give us ratings. Really helps us out. Helps get our the algorithm to share us around a little bit more, I think. So please do that. So with that said, Andrew, where should we start going into this past week when it comes to Blu-ray
Yeah, this
announcements?
week is a little different than the previous week because last week was just stacked full of all kinds of stuff because we had the Vinegar Syndrome drop and all kinds of stuff. This week is a little more scattered, a little
It's a little
scatterbrained
scattered.
this week.
We got
So
one.
we're
We
going to be
got one.
bouncing around.
Yeah, we got a one like kind of big release
A
that
big
was
drop.
big drop, and the rest are kind of like scattery. Some are kind of reminders of updates. But where do we want to start?
Yeah, let's start with Studio Canal, just because I
Okay.
feel like this was something that dropped relatively early on, and I just like to go in some type of order. So Studio Canal is releasing two 4Ks or two Blu-rays, depending on which format you would want. And it is films directed by the same director, Richard Lester, and it's the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers. And these are coming from, I think, like their classics line or something like
Yeah.
that. Um, and yeah, one came out in 1973, the other came out in 1974, and these are adaptations of the Three Musketeers story. Probably something many people are familiar with because if you look up the Three Musketeers and their adaptations, there's tons of them, just
Oh,
tons of
tons.
them throughout cinema. They've done it on
I
TV,
mean,
they've done it in movies,
yeah. Of course, growing up
plays.
for us, we watched the one that had Kiefer Sutherland in it. I think a lot.
The
Uh,
90s one
the
with Kiefer
'90s one.
Sutherland, Chris O'Donnell,
Yeah.
um, Oliver Platt.
Yeah.
Uh,
That
yeah,
one's fun. That's a fun
that
one. Yeah.
that is a fun one. That is a very fun one. What is interesting about this one is this actually may be one of the more faithful adaptations of Alexander Dumas's of his work. And it's just it's kind of they're both really fun. I thought the first one was maybe a little more smoother than the second. In my opinion, the story just flowed a bit better.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about stacked cast?
Yeah.
Um, we're talking like some of the best well-known British actors of the time, just actors of the time: Oliver Reed, Raquel Welch, Richard Chamberlain, Michael York, Frank Finley, Christopher Lee is in it as Rochefort. Um, if you just familiar with the '90s adaptation, the guy with the eye patch,
Yeah.
apparently that character Rochefort doesn't even have an eye patch in the original in the original novel. That was just something Christopher Lee did, and it's stuck with that character ever since. Like that's kind of something
That's
that he
kind of
did.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was telling Steven before the show, this movie was originally supposed to be like a 3 hour and change epic with, with a break in the middle and all that kind of stuff. But they realized during production that if they went that route, they would not meet the date of when the movie was supposed to come out. So they decided to split it into two movies. Unfortunately, the producers and the people behind the production did not tell the cast that, and they didn't even know that until they went to the premiere, and it was not the whole movie that they had made that was there. It's like half of it. They cut it off at a specific point. So this led to all kind of lawsuits and stuff like that because the cast was only paid for one movie, not for two.
Yeah.
So this developed what is known as the Salkind clause. The Salkinds were the producers of the movie, and it's still on the books to this day, where you have to tell the cast and you have to pay the cast if you're making more than one film, whether it's a decision made before, during, or after the production. At any point, they need to tell the cast, and the cast needs to be paid for their movies. Um, Interesting. I guess that's why they have the Screen Actors Guild and stuff like that,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
fix those things. But these are fun swashbuckling films, with a heaping amount of comedy in them,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
which I was
There's some
surprised.
a lot of good slapstick stuff. A lot of just you know. Also, just the comedy's also not so goofy that it's not like Terry Gilliam goofy. Like it's
It's not
not.
Monty Python,
Yeah, it's not
but
Monty Python.
it's that same type of witty,
British,
like,
like, dry, witty humor.
yeah, dry humor. Like someone will make like an offhand comment and it'll be like Monty Python-ish or something like that, or there'll be an observational type of comedy,
Yeah.
or even there'll be physical gags in
Yeah.
there as well, where someone gets caught on something or someone goes flying across a room or whatever. But the fighting is fun. It's a fun adventure story. It mostly centers around the character of D'Artagnan,
Yeah.
portrayed by Michael York. And for those of you who don't know who Michael York is, um, he was in a bunch of stuff at the
I
time.
Every time I see him, I think Austin Powers.
I was just gonna say, I think people most know him as Basil in Austin
Yeah.
Powers, who's kind of Austin Powers' not handler, but he's his
Liaison
boss.
liaison to his government.
Organization,
Yeah,
his
yeah,
government organization.
yeah.
Was it MI6? I don't even remember.
Who
Uh,
knows?
but yeah, he's mostly known for that, but he was just in, he's in the recent Criterion announcement of that adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. The
Yeah.
Stefarelli? Is that Stefarelli? He plays Tybalt in that film. Um, uh, who I think is Romeo's cousin, or is that Mercutio? I don't know. You get my high school Shakespeare out of me, but Michael York is fine in the movie. He's dashing, he's funny, he's witty, he's charismatic. Oliver Reed is one of the Musketeers, and he's just plays the most abrasive one of all
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
I enjoy these movies. What is interesting is the first one, The Three Musketeers, is currently streaming on Amazon Prime, but the second one is not, which
Mm.
kind of baffles me because they go hand in hand. You kind of have to watch them both back to back. That's kind of how you do it. But yeah, that's from Studio Canal, and there are some special features with them. Um,
New
there's
4K, no 4K restorations,
Yes, and
HDR. Yeah.
and it says, yeah, the Saga of the Musketeers Part 1, and then on the second one, there's a Saga of the Musketeers Part 2. So these releases kind of go hand in hand. And yeah, they're being released on both 4K and Blu-ray.
Fantastic. I'm excited. I might pick these up. These are. I mean,
Yeah,
I've said it before. I love most every 4K I've gotten from Studio Canal is pretty great. So
yeah, and it is
yeah.
region free, so you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, these films are not available here in the US at all. So that's a first time thing.
Yeah, cool. How about we go over to MVD and talk about the release we got from them this week. Um, so MVD Rewind just is putting out a new 4K restoration of the 1985 film Killzone.
I know, Killzone.
Killzone.
Nice.
Um, and so Killzone essentially, is a kind of a deer hunter slash kind of like a First Blood kind of rip offy type of story. Guys in Vietnam, they're doing a training exercise in the story, and one of the guys who has PTSD, during the training exercise, he takes it seriously what's going on and starts to kind of go off the handle and starts, he kills a guy, and then the rest of the movie they're trying to capture him. And of course, some of the guys that know him more personally want to just catch him and help him, but the platoon leader wants to get rid of him, wants to kill him. because he's a liability. So it's kind of it is a sleazy kind of like war action movie, but it's also got a little bit of social commentary there. It's got a little bit of something there behind it. Not that it's well fleshed out or anything, but um, it was a decent movie. I mean, I watched it in shitty quality what I watched it in, but decent enough action, Vietnam movie. Not anything to write home about, but
It's kind of like that part of that 80s, no, like nom exploitation or
yeah,
nom
I would say
exploitation.
definitely put a part of that. I believe I would say.
Yeah, it
Um,
is getting a 4K restoration. It's getting a new audio commentary, new making of.
Not from the
Um,
uh, moderated by Jack from Serial at Midnight, or Heath from Serial at Midnight.
okay,
He'd recently done another MVD release, I believe. So
cool. Oh yeah, I see that right there. So yeah, that's from MVD. I guess we'll bounce. Let's bounce to Radiance just because they were doing just a lot this week. Um, as we've been covering them all along, just a lot doing there. They've had all these releases lined up basically since the end of last year, and now it's that time where they're just, you know, telling us when they're coming out.
yeah,
And they announced their June releases. And the June releases are Red Sun, which we've known about, The Hotspot, which we did not know about. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Buster Keaton Rides Again / Helicopter Canada, which is their collaboration with Canadian International Pictures. That was one of their hot sellers here. I
yeah,
got my copy before it went the way of the dodo.
yeah.
And then the Costa Nostra, Franco Nero, and Three Mafia Tales by oh boy, Damiano Damiani. That is a name.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
that's coming out in June. The one I want to concentrate on the most is The Hotspot, because this is another film directed by Dennis Hopper. Came out, I think, the same year as what's that other movie he did, Backtrack? What we just talked about
Yeah,
that Kino's putting out.
yeah,
Kino has also already put out The Hotspot in a special
yes,
edition
yes.
version that literally just came out. I want to say
Last year, sometime
last year,
last.
maybe the year before, and I did a
It's
quick.
last year, I think.
Oh, it is no 2021.
Really? God,
Yep,
fucking time.
I
As you
know
always
it
say,
doesn't move
time
so
is just
fast.
getting away from us, man.
It really is, and yeah, and that was a special edition release with the slipcover and special features, and all of that stuff. And I think that that had that had a 2K restoration,
Well, this
and
is
I
the same restoration from Kino.
yeah the same
So,
restoration. But of course, as the tale goes, different special features a little bit. Um, and which is kind of annoying because you know me, I'm super figure out what's good and I want to get the almost ultimate complete edition of something, and this all of a sudden, kind of puts a hamper on that. So yeah, this is doesn't have a couple of interviews, or it's missing. Yeah, it's missing an interview with William Sadler that is on the Kino release.
well, sometimes you can find them interviews online.
I
I'm not.
think that's the main thing that it's missing. And also there's an exclusive commentary on the Kino release by author Brian Reisman, and the Radiance release I think doesn't come with a commentary, or at least it doesn't
Mm,
say that there's a commentary.
not that I'm seeing.
Not that I'm seeing either. But it does have interview with Virginia Madsen, which was on that Kino release. It's got archival interviews with Dennis Hopper, which I guess is kind of awesome. Since he's not around anymore, it's nice to see something like that. But something that's new is a Dwayne Swarzynski on the source novel, which is a brand new feature from this year. So that's cool. So that's what I want to concentrate on. I love the cover art of it. It's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
mysterious, but that's interesting. I did get to see the movie. The movie is streaming, I think, on Tubi right now. For those of you interested in wanting to see it, it's kind of a '90s. It's very much a '90s neo noir. Basically, this drifter guy comes into town, played by Don Johnson, and he ends up kind of getting roped into like local things that are going on. He starts working in like a used car dealership. He has an affair with the wife of the owner, portrayed by Virginia Madsen. But he's also pining after Jennifer Connelly, who is incredibly young in this film. Very kind of disturbing factor there going on. And William Sadler's kind of this kind of gross local guy or whatever. Yeah, but he realizes that this town that he kind of stumbled in is so small that the fire department is all volunteers, and all the volunteers happen to work at the local bank. So if there's a fire in the middle of the day, no one is working at the local bank. So he
Yeah.
decides, I'm gonna create a fire, start a fire, then rob the bank. And he does it, and then complications ensue after that. Um, as if there wasn't more complications. Virginia Madsen is a fantastic femme fatale in this movie. She is just on another level. I thought she was incredible. Um, yeah, I definitely recommend this if you're, you know, going along with a lot of the Dennis Hopper talk that we've been doing over the last little while. This is, I think, a must buy for everyone.
All right. I've definitely wanted to watch it, just didn't have the time. But I plan to get the Radiance release. I believe. I think that's.
Yeah, same here. Because if I'm gonna be getting all their other releases, I kind of can't break the cycle.
I think Andrew's decided he's
My,
gonna try to stay
my,
complete on
I'm
Radiance.
gonna
He just
try. Right now, I'm behind as usual. So,
yeah. Well, that's you just it's that input that separate the opposite thing I have that you somehow have, and that's good for you, man. It's good that you can hold
oh,
back.
that's good because it drives me crazy.
It drives you
Um,
crazy, but at least you
mm,
probably have some money.
yeah, you one would think so.
Nah, well, I
One
don't
would
know.
think so,
Who
but
knows?
that's never the case. But let's move off of Radiance. Go to their website if you're interested in more of their stuff because there's just so much doing over there.
Yeah,
Fran is constantly like posting on social media on Twitter,
yeah.
Facebook,
He
Instagram.
posted the a tease of the that box set.
Oh yeah,
he
they're working on the mock-up for it,
yeah,
and he's kind of going over the details.
the test box that shows how the releases will fit in the case, and so little things like that. He always shares with everybody, which is nice. That's gets us in there closer, to how things are going down. So, but all right. Well, let's move over to Kino.
Sure,
Yeah, let's do a
sure. Let's go to Kino Town.
few Kino releases we got to talk about. The first one we'll talk about comes out May 9th. Stone Cold, starring Brian Bosworth,
Yep.
Lance Hendrickson, and William Forsythe. I mean,
Yeah, Bill Forsyth is in the
or Bill.
movie.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
almost didn't recognize him at all.
yeah. It, if I'm being honest, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I
It is
enjoyed it.
an incredibly fun '90s B movie action
It's
film.
so sleazy. I love it. Like it's the film is
It's so
about
over the top,
yeah. It's film's about
definitely so.
a cop that gets suspended at the beginning of the story, played by our
Brian Bosworth.
Brian Bosworth, who's he was an ex football player turned actor in
Yes.
real life. So you can see where this is going. Can't act at all. He's just a big hulking man.
He's just a big guy who fills that role out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who Brian Bosworth was, he is actually one of the greatest college football players of all time. He played 3 years in college at Oklahoma. He played 3 years in the NFL, and then due to injuries, his career kind of ended very suddenly. And then he transitioned into doing acting in kind of B and C movies throughout the rest of his career. There was a great 30 for 30 ESPN documentary about him. I think it's just called The Boz because that was like his nickname. And it's really, really good. I think it's from like 2014, maybe even earlier,
Okay.
around that, or 2015, where he just reminisces about his younger days because he was notorious just for his antics. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just breaking all the rules, larger than life, and he kind of delves into the fact how the Boz, in quotes, was kind of became a bit of an alter ego for him, in terms of like that's just a completely different person and kind of took over his life took over his public image. But this movie I think has been a cult film for
It
years.
well, yeah, I mean, not only, I mean, for his probably presence in the film, but the supporting cast. I mean, that's such a kind of a cool support. I mean, Lance Henderson, as the kind of
Yeah,
the main antagonist of the story. But so the movie's about he plays, Boz plays a cop who's been suspended, and then he gets kind of blackmailed by the FBI to go undercover into this investigation about this biker gang. And so Lance Henderson is the head of the biker gang, and yeah, I mean, it's essentially just kind of him going undercover as a biker, trying to do what he's got to do to get them put in jail. It's very simple story, sleazy, a lot of nudity, a lot of some really good action, actually, some really good
yeah.
explosions,
The
and
third act of this is wild.
yeah, yeah,
Um, literally has to like fight his way through this whole biker gang of guys. This movie actually cost $25 million to make.
it's amazing.
It only made $9 million at the box office, so it's a bit of a box office bomb. I was like, when I read that before the movie. I was like, "How did this movie cost $25 million?" And then I'm watching like the car chase sequences and explosions and all the action stuff going
The
on. I'm like, "Yeah,
pyrotechnics,
that's where the money went.
yeah, and all the
That's where the
explosion,
money
yeah,
went."
yeah,
Because at
but
least that looks good and well done. Uh, yeah, but this release is, I think, part of like their special edition. It's coming with the slipcover.
yeah,
It's got a new audio
it's got
commentary.
a lot of new
It's got
interviews, yeah,
a lot of interviews.
with
Wow,
Brian
Brian
Bosworth,
Bosworth,
Lance Henderson, I can't speak, Hendrickson,
Hendrickson.
Arabella Holdsbug, Sam McMurphy, and then a new audio commentary with film historian Mike Leader and Arnie Venma. I believe they both were interviewed on uh, the Disconnected, so you can go over there and see that interview. Um, yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'm interested in this release. I thought the film was fun. And what's kind of weird is there is a scene where they attack the Capitol in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that too.
How weird is that
That's
shit?
the I mean, spoiler alert, the climax of the
What's the
film.
fuck? That's not spoiling anything. They attack
Yeah,
the
because we're not
Capitol
given
building.
any context.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
it's
but but the fact that happened in reality.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of well, I think fiction, when it comes to stuff that's happened in movies, has now happened in reality so often that the line is so blurred now. Like what you thought was so absurd that, oh, this can only happen in the movies. No, it's happening in real
I think
life.
we're learning that the movies are actually just reality that are playing out. It's their time machines. You know,
Mm, like they're years ahead
so
with
Jurassic
predicting
Park's
things.
going to happen eventually. We're just getting around to it. Um, the
Every
next
time they
thing,
say they're cloning some type of animal or they're cloning something,
yeah,
even on a macro level, I'm like, this is how Jurassic Park starts. This is how it
yeah, this
goes.
is how the movie Species is, or
Oh yeah.
Splice. Remember Splice
Yes, I do
with
remember
Adrian
Splice.
Brody? Yeah, that movie's fucking creepy.
Remember I had to watch all the Species movies for that, was it
Yeah,
that Shout Factory release of all the Species
might have
movies?
been an '88 films release, I think.
I think you're right, I'm way
Yeah.
off.
But, but the next film I think we've talked about before, it's the
Yes,
Luc Besson film, Ka
Kamikaze.
Kamikaze, yeah, so we've kinda talked about this one. This has just got, I think, further details that it comes out May 9th. Um, yeah, and then moving on, we have coming soon 4K restoration of Gamut, or by Gamut, sorry. The new movie's called The Day of the Hour from 1963. Um, The Day and the Hour stars C, well, Stuart Whitman and Seaman Signort. I can't say these
Uh,
names.
Simone Signore, I think so,
Okay.
and Stuart Whitman. Yeah, this is Renee Clement. We may have talked about this before, I'm not quite sure.
Well,
Um,
it's a coming soon. I don't think this is the first time this has been
Maybe,
announced.
I think you're right. Maybe it was another Renee Clement film because I remember mentioning the movie Purple Noon, which is
Okay.
a Renee Clement film. And that movie's in the Criterion Collection starring Alain Delon. Um, Pretty sure many people have it in their collection or they've seen it on the website or they've seen it in stores or whatever the case may be. It's the one where it's the side profile of
Yeah.
Alain Delon. Um, yeah, that's what I know Renee Clement from.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I did
lastly,
not get to see this, but go
yeah.
on.
But yeah, so lastly, what we have is a 1994 film called Death Machine,
I know, what a
1994.
great name.
Brad Dorff is in it, which that automatically makes me a little interested.
Did you see
Um,
who directed it?
Stephen
N-
Norrington,
Norrington.
that does the Blade film and League of Extraordinary
I
Gentlemen,
love how
two amazing movies.
that is. I like how that's the two credits they decided to use here
Well, I
on
mean,
the
Brad Dorff
Facebook
is
page.
also in Blade, so it's
Well,
like,
I'm just saying it's like they went with like Blade, which is awesome. You know, Wesley Snipes as Blade. It kind of
what do
a
you,
seminal kind of Marvel film, and then the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which
what
is
are you
notoriously
saying? What are
terrible.
you saying, Andrew?
I'm saying
League
they
of
went with his
Extraordinary
best and
Gentlemen's
his worst.
it's not that bad.
Oh, it's not good.
It's not great.
Not good. That's not a
It's
good way to end your career,
yeah, well,
Mr. Sean
once
Connery.
he did a Marvel and a DC before there was directors that did Marvels and DC movies like James
Really,
Gunn or
very true. I mean, yeah. So, Stephen Norrington, kind of a
Journeyman kind
journeyman.
of yeah.
Yeah. He worked a lot in special effects.
Yeah.
Uh, he, then directing. He only directed 4 films: Death Machine, Blade, The Last Minute, and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
What a
That was
career.
it. That's
What
his
a
whole
direct.
career was 94 to 2003.
Is he not doing anything anymore? Not he's
Nothing in terms of directing.
oh,
Let's
okay.
see. You know, oh, I hate this IMDb now. What am I doing here? I'm clicking on things and nothing's showing up. Oh, there it
Oh
is.
wow. Maybe he's done.
No, yeah. I mean, he's worked on some stuff in visual effects recently, but
Okay.
nothing else. And then special effects, nothing past like 2015, 2016.
Yeah. Must be retired.
Could
Good for
be,
him.
could be. But his movie is coming out um,
Well,
from Kino, Death Machine.
maybe I need to check it out. Maybe it's the movie he did that probably got him the job to do Blade. So,
Very much so.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, let's move on to kind of something I'm surprised Kino hasn't put out themselves. And this is a company we've never talked about before, and I'm bringing this up just because we don't have much else to talk about this week. It's I like talking about the silent films. This is a 2-disc edition of 2 silent films by Frank Borzage from 1922. One is called Back Pay, the other one is called The Valley of Silent Men. Um,
sounds pretty serious.
yeah, and this is I don't know anything about this company. All I know is these are being manufactured on demand through, and so they're burned on discs. They're
Yeah.
BDRs. They're not BD discs proper. So it's something like that. They do have new 2K scans from 35 millimeter archival stuff from the Library of Congress. So that's very interesting. But the reason I bring up Frank Borzage is because he does have 2 films in the Criterion collection. He's got History is Made at Night and Moonrise are both in the Criterion collection. And Frank Borzage is, I think, a really good director. Um, yeah, he directed a lot of films like Seventh Heaven from 1927, No Greater Glory, Bad Girl, Street Angel. Um, yeah, he's a he's a good director, and he did some acting as well.
You don't know how hard it was for me when you said Seventh Heaven for me to not break into song
No,
from the
don't you do it now.
Seventh Heaven show. Like I Seventh Heaven.
Mhm.
When I
I
see
know it.
their happy faces
Oh, goodness.
smiling back at
We
me.
were all duped. You know how many
Seventh
you know how
Heaven.
many seasons that show went for?
Like 8 or 9, something
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah. Too many,
But I
too
was
many.
yeah. Sorry guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he also directed The Mortal Storm, which has a Warner Archive release.
That's a good
Um,
movie. That's a good one.
yeah, is that Mannequin with Betty Davis? No, Joan Crawford. I almost I got the it's Joan Crawford, Spencer Tracy. I've been wanting to get this movie for years. Why is there no Blu-ray of this yet? Come on, people, get it together now. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up just because more silent film is getting a Blu-ray release, even if it's BDRs made on demand.
Yeah.
I mean, where else are you going to find 1922 Frank Borzage films on disc right now?
You're right. You're right.
But moving back across the globe, taking
Whoa.
a plane,
Whoa.
Come with me now. We're going down to Australia
Meow.
with
Okay.
Via Vision. Via Vision. Now these are not part of imprint their imprint line or anything like that. This is just from them directly, which they have done on occasion. They've done it, a few times
Well,
in regards to certain
they do
releases.
put a lot of stuff out, but a lot of it's like either more mainstreamy stuff or it's like some TV stuff. But
They
they're
even they even
yeah,
put out movies though, but not part of imprint.
yeah, yeah, they do.
They did a Ginger Snaps trilogy box set, I think.
Yeah,
I remember they put that out, but this is another kind of collection that they're putting out on Blu-ray. This is the Gidget Film Collection, and why am I bringing this up? Um, you're about to find out. So this
thanks.
collection has Gidget Goes Hawaiian, Gidget Goes to Rome, and Gidget Gets Married. Um, what is interesting about this is, we've talked about movies getting turned into TV shows, or vice versa, and this is one of the cases where it was a movie, I believe, turned into a TV show. Um, and I think Gidget was turned into a TV show in 1965 with Sally Field playing the title role of Gidget, and it was one of
Damn.
Sally Field's like earliest roles, I believe, in 1965. Um, yeah, if memory serves, I think that's how it rolls. Because yeah, so I just thought that was an interesting connection, just because Sally Field is still working to this day, and probably one of the most well-known actresses we've ever known, at least in our lifetimes, um, being Steven and I. So yeah, so that's a cool little collection there. If you're a Gidget fan and you've had them on DVD for
So
years,
say I don't know anything about Gidget at all.
anything about Gidget, it's kind of like she was played by Sandra Dee in the films, I believe, and she's kind of like, well, she was played by Sandra Dee, I think, in the first film. She's kind of like a young, uh, surfer girl. I almost wanna say dumb blonde, but that's such a
Oh,
negative
jeez.
stereotype, but
Damn.
it's kind of like in that 1950s, like beach going type of movies and stuff like that, like beach blanket bingo and all that kind of stuff. I think that's it. I just remember watching the TV show on either Nick at Night or TV Land in the '90s with Sally Field. I caught a couple episodes here and there. Um, but I just thought this was an interesting collection because I know there's a lot of classic movie fans who like these movies.
He seems like just like slice of life, beach life movies
Yeah,
with a
it's coming
cute
out.
blonde at the
Yeah, and it's
center.
coming out April 19th. Yeah, and
Well,
these are Blu-ray for the first time.
that's cool. That's cool. I'm sure there's somebody out here that it's Gidget fans. But Cult Epics is putting out a film called A Question of Silence. Um, it's from 1982, and I don't know anything about the movie, but it looks like an interesting horror film. Um, three women, strangers with no premeditated thoughts, kill a male shopkeeper in the middle of the day. A female psychiatrist is assigned to the case to find out why. That's the plot. That's it.
Hmm. They didn't do
So
2K restorations, got 2 interviews and audio commentary. I don't know much about Cult Epics. Why does the name sound so familiar?
because they've put out releases before.
They have. There you go.
They've
There's
done
the
that. That
answer.
might be the reason.
Could be.
But
Could be. It
yeah,
it
that's the one little random release from them. Sounds kind of interesting. I don't, I would like to check that one out. Another kind of random one off. BFI is putting out Dance Craze
mm,
from 1981, coming out March 27th. It's getting a new 4K restoration from the
I like that
70
poster.
millimeter materials. Um, brand new sound mixes. That's great. And obviously, this is a film that's going to have a lot of music in it, so that's important. Um, yeah, it's got looks like it's got is that multiple films in one? Is this like a collection? Or am I reading this
Hold on,
wrong?
I
No,
gotta
wait,
go
it
back
says
to
it's performances. Performances
ah,
by the Specials, Madness, Secklers, the Beat, Bad Manners, and the Body Snatchers, which I like that as a group. The Body Snatchers. That's kind of cool. I like that. Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this movie, but it looks kinda interesting. I mean, a good dance movie is a rare thing. Like, you got nowadays, you talk about, the Step Up movies. Like, you don't get a lot of dance movies, and, maybe some of these older ones can give us something, interesting. Um, Drench yourself in high energy sweatbox world of British two tone in the late 70s and the early 80s with the legendary concert film. Okay, so it's a concert film. So
Cool.
it's not just like a narrative film. It's actually like a documentary of sorts, I guess. Um, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
that sounds cool. Speaking of the BFI, so they're doing a new 4K restoration of the rules of the game, which is um, the 1939 film directed by Jean Renoir. It's been on Criterion forever. That Blu-ray from Criterion's been around forever, and since this is getting a new 4K restoration, and they're going to be showing it, I believe, in theaters. I don't know where, but probably not where near me. Um, we could get a 4K release of this from someone. I know they're releasing a new Blu-ray. The BFI is not a 4K. Um, so that's a possibility. It's got a new 4K restoration and a 42-minute documentary on the making of the rules of the game by Pierre Oscar Levy and more. And it just says and more.
Thanks and
Wow, so
more.
it's like thanks,
Yeah,
and that really helped
I
now.
I feel like this is kind of one of them seminal Criterion films that will probably get a 4K through them. Is
Yeah,
my
or
guess.
somebody, because this is probably one of the this is like one of those films where if you see like a best films of list of all time, it's on there somewhere
That
usually.
that or Kino snuck up and
It
took
sneaks in
this one.
there and gives us one here
Yeah,
in the
they've
States.
done it to Night of the Hunter. They've done it with Paths of Glory. They've done it with 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, this is the BFI, so I have no idea if Kino can get their hands on the restoration, if Criterion can get their hands on the restoration, or if they're gonna do it themselves. It's one of those things where I don't know which companies like to share things with other companies. So I don't like to like speculate. I would like for it to happen, but I don't know. Um, moving on from there, Classic Flicks is putting out High Diddle Diddle on Blu-ray.
What about not? What about Hey Diddle Diddle? I
I
thought
know what
that's
about
a
Hey Diddle Diddle.
why Hi Diddle Diddle.
I don't know. This is a screwball comedy from 1943, starring Adolphe Menjou, Martha Scott, Paula Negri, Dennis O'Keefe, and Billy Burke. The release is scheduled to arrive on the market on May 23rd. Um,
Hi
let
Diddle Diddle.
Yeah, and I'm gonna read the description. With time ticking away on his 48-hour leave, sailor Sonny Thief, portrayed by Dennis O'Keefe, ties the knot. Not the best thing to do when you only have 48 hours.
God, why
With
would you want to
his
do that?
socialite sweetheart, Janie Prescott, portrayed by Martha Scott, the newlyweds are all set to start their honeymoon when a snowballing series of wacky occurrences threatens to roadblock every avenue of marital bliss. Yeah, that's what happens when you get married on a whim like that. things things go
Stupid.
a little south really quickly. I love 1940s screwball or 1930s screwball comedies, so um, this has my interest just for that. Classic Flicks does put out a lot of cool stuff, a lot of stuff that I got to get my hands on, but the stuff's not cheap. Their stuff is not cheap. Um, yeah, they do a lot of work with a lot of classic stuff. Like we talked about Eye of the Jury, which got a
Yeah.
4K release from them. We've talked about Raw Deal. We talked about Another Man's Poison, starring Betty Davis. I really want to get that. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. They put out some TV stuff as well, like The Little Rascals and Abbott and Costello show, which is really cool.
Cool. Well, let's move over to the big thing? Are we
Yeah,
ready for the big
let's
the
move over
last
to the big thing.
the last
Uh,
and big thing that we have
yeah, because
tonight?
we're gonna spend some time on this bad boy. Um,
This is going to be all Andrew because I didn't get the chance to watch any of these. It's uh,
it's a big one. I
it's a
can
big
understand,
one,
and they dropped it pretty. When they dropped it, like Wednesday.
something like that.
I don't remember. Yeah. So on June 27th, they are releasing another director-centered box set. And this is going to be about Pier Paolo Pasolini, but here's the kicker. This is only films that are from the beginning of his career. So this is called Pasolini 101. The films are from 1961 to 1969. It's a 9 disc Blu ray collection. It only has 9 films in it. So, films that are not going to be in this are his 70s work, which is probably stuff people are more well aware of. Salo, his
Yeah,
Canterbury Tales, uh, film trilogy there, some of his other work later on in his career before he was murdered. Um, it's so this is like if you've never watched Pasolini or if you don't know who Pasolini is, this is kind of the box set for you.
yeah,
And yeah, fortunately, 7 out of 9 of these movies are streaming on the Criterion Collection streaming service. So if you want to preview them there, I guess you can. I don't know if those are the restorations that are in this box set here, or if it's just older restorations or older masters, or whatever that case may be, because you 7 of these films are getting 4K restorations. 2 of them are getting, I guess the remaining 2 are getting 2K restorations on Teorama and Medea. What I know, kind of just off the top of my head, the only one of these films I think has gotten a Blu-ray release from Criterion before is Teorama. So all of these are getting are brand new Blu-ray releases. I know people get upset at Criterion for re-releasing stuff they've already released before, just in different formats, I guess. Unless it's DVD to Blu-ray upgrades, I mean
yeah,
that's a big jump.
yeah,
That's a hell of a jump. So this is coming with just tons of stuff, um, documentaries, audio commentaries. There's 100-page book featuring essays and notes from film critics and writings and drawings by Pasolini himself. Pasolini, we could do an entire podcast series on Pasolini because of his life being so diverse and unique and controversial and different and all kinds of stuff. He was an everyman, really. He was a writer, a poet, philosopher, filmmaker, obviously. Um, so many different things. Very politically active. Yeah, it just he was so many different things. But yeah, I got to watch. I think I've seen 5 out of 9 of these films. And they're all really, really good. Unique though, similar to Bergman, you gotta be in the right frame of mind. You gotta be in the right, you know,
yeah.
moment to kind of absorb his work because it is that unique. Similar to Tarkovsky, similar to Fellini, and all these other big type of guys, where you gotta really, you gotta, you gotta get on their wavelength. If you're not, you're just gonna,
Well,
you're not gonna
I,
go with it.
I can
Basically,
attest to that because I did try to watch a couple of these and I couldn't because I couldn't get I didn't have the right frame of mind
the
and also
attention span, it's gotta be there and stuff.
it's because my with my baby I just don't have the attention span right now for it. So it's I tried watching like 2 of these. I was like I can't get into it. I can't pay attention to it enough because it's too much going on around me. So
There's a lot
tried.
happening.
I tried.
There's a lot happening in the films themselves because he's so it's weird because he's both meticulous yet not. Um, yeah, I got to watch a good portion of this stuff. Um, Akatone, I think, was his first film. In 1961, Mamba Roma, I think I watched years ago on I think it was either Filmstruck or the Criterion Channel or maybe even TCM Watch TCM or something like that. That stars Anna Magnani, who's a famous Italian actress. She's fantastic. Love Meetings is unique because it's a documentary done by Pasolini, and what he does is he just goes around to random people and asks them random questions. Like he asks them questions that can be both personal, philosophical, political, anything kind of in that range, and just to gauge to see what someone would say. Like someone asks them like, "Oh, is sex important in a relationship?" or something like that, or he'll ask something about politics, or he'll ask like a bunch of random kids like, "Oh, where do you think babies come from?" and stuff like that. Like he's just going running the gamut, and the movie's an hour and a half of him just doing that constantly. Um, yeah, it's a lot. It's a kind of a weird thing for him. And then you have the Gospel according to Matthew is an adaptation of the biblical book, the Gospel of Matthew, like literally to the point where like he only takes like dialogue from that gospel. What is interesting about that is he's a notorious atheist, and so it's
Hmm.
like him doing that as an atheist. So you kind of going into it, I was wondering, is it going to be anti-religion? Is it going to be, anti-God? Is it going to be any of those things? And it's really not. It's
Hmm.
more of kind of just a practical adaptation of a story. Really fascinating, really, really interesting. Kind of portraying religion without an agenda, which
Yeah.
is a unique take on that. Um, yeah, Hawks and Sparrows is fascinating, fascinating too. Basically, a father and son wander the countryside, and they meet a philosophically talking crow that like talks to them about philosophy. But then there's also a flashback of two Franciscan monks trying to talk to hawks, and and like trying to make um hawks and sparrows like work together, like communicate, like because I guess they're notoriously predatory. I think hawks um hawks basically attack sparrows and eat them. So they're
Yeah.
trying to like mediate between the two. And but they're also talking with Saint Francis of Assisi about how to do that. And then you flash forward to modern day where they're continuing their journey on this road, and you know, going about doing certain things like trying to collect rent, committing crimes, running away. There's like slapstick comedy, there's philosophy, there's life stories, they're talking about Marxism. They're all like allegories for like Marxism and religion and all this kind of stuff. Trust me, Pasolini is so many levels in his work. It's incredible. Um, yeah, I can go on and on about Pasolini. Just an endlessly fascinating individual, and his work um also fascinating as well. This is actually coming out to commemorate his 101st birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, don't be confused by the title. There's not 101 films in here.
No.
101. He would be 101 today or this year.
Ironically, when I saw Pasolini 101, I was thinking, I mean, I guess it works for both ways, where it can be like, this is a 101 course, like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
college course about
Yeah. Yeah.
Pasolini, and also he's 101 years old if he was still with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was notoriously murdered. Basically, it's very controversial and very kind of people don't really know what the real true story is. He may have been murdered, like assassinated. It may have just been a victim of circumstance. He may have been killed on purpose. There's so many different stories about what actually occurred uh, over around his death. Um, yeah, but his most notorious work is Salo. It's the
Yeah.
one that he's most well known for. It's the most one of the most notoriously controversial films of all time. Um, I've never seen it actually. I don't
I
know.
haven't either.
I
It's one that everybody talks about, and I've just never gotten around to
I've
it.
almost bought it at several Criterion sales at Barnes& and Noble just to have it, um, but I've never had it. I'd be fascinated if it ever gets a 4K release, um, but it's got quite a deluxe Blu-ray already, as well as his
Yeah.
Canterbury Tales is a nice box set from Criterion too. That
Yeah.
I've been toying with getting, but if they're putting out this set, what are the chances of them putting out a second set of his later work?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
So I
Maybe
may
they're.
wait.
Yeah.
It's a
Maybe
good thing
they're.
I waited in general.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they got the ones they've already put out already, and maybe they'll go past them and then put out the rest of his films in another box set. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, his work only goes up to the late 70s. Um,
I'm waiting for more Satyajit Ray. That's all.
yeah, there's been years for that.
Well, now we got Devi. What is it? A year or two ago.
Oh, yeah, you're
It's
right. I
yeah,
have it around here somewhere.
but it just feels like I know that they have all his movies. Like I know there was a report that came out a couple years ago that they had his filmography. that they have the ability to put it out, and I'm assuming they're restoring it. But god damn, it's been forever. I want more. Like, give me some kind of like little box set with Satyajit Rai, like, or something. Like, I want more of his stuff in good condition, because a lot of his stuff past what we've seen so far is not in good condition. You can't find it in a way to see it.
Yeah, some of the stuff that was streaming on Hulu when Criterion Collection had a partnership with Hulu was in worse for the wear condition, to say the
Yeah,
least, years ago. They've since gone back and restored, I think, a lot of that and the Blu-rays that have come out subsequently. I would like that. It's been quite a few years since we've gotten oh, maybe not quite a few years, because they did put out um, the Van Peebles box set. What was that, 2 years
yeah,
ago? And that is technically a director-centered
yeah.
um, uh, box set. But I remember,
They haven't done anything as ambitious as this in a minute.
yeah, the Melvin
Uh,
Van Peebles box set is rather small, like
yeah,
literally in size. That's what I mean, and it only has 5 films in it. This is 9 films, and I don't know what the dimensions of this are going to be. I mean, it looks like a Bergman type of dimensions, maybe a little smaller.
I
I'm
don't think it's
thinking
as
maybe
big.
maybe an Agnes Varda
I was
type
gonna say
of
it looks like more like an
dimensions.
Agnes Varda set, maybe. Yeah,
Or this could very well be the same as the Van Peebles set, or the Eric Romer set that we've got. Something on a more smaller scale with the digipack, little thin digipacks, which I don't
yeah,
mind. I mean, they save shelf space, but those digipack things, they're not exactly the most solid things to keep intact.
yeah,
As long as it's not kind of like the Godzilla set, or not like the Fellini set, which I'm pointing at as if people can actually see me, um, with the sliding discs and stuff like that. Even the Varda set with the discs, I think, sliding out from the top, or even just sliding out between two pieces of cardboard, not the best, packaging when it comes to longevity, in my opinion. Um, so maybe I am kind of going back a little bit to what I was just saying. The digipacks may be the best, maybe the best out of all these ideas.
yeah. I mean,
I mean, the best is individual Blu-ray cases. That's the standard
yeah. I
best,
mean,
a la Indicator or Arrow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. They were able to fit tons of. You saw, if you haven't seen, the J. Michael Murphy set, or Michael J. Murphy set. I'm saying the name backwards. Or the Mae West set. Tons of films in them sets, but they made them relatively. They're not that big.
Yeah, well, just going on here, just going on from Blu-ray.com and looking on Criterion.com, they do have artwork set up for 9 different things. Whether these are the digipack covers or something else, I
Hmm.
don't really know. I'm assuming they look like digipack covers. Steven, do you know what I'm talking about? Are you on the Blu-ray.com kind of press thing for it?
I'm on there. I don't
Yeah.
see what you're seeing though.
Look on the right side of the screen where it's got all the
I
artwork.
mean, I got all the yeah,
Yeah,
they got all the
yeah,
different artworks.
up top is obviously the cover, the box
Yeah.
cover, and
Yeah.
then if you count down, there's 9 of these other things.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I don't know
it
that
could be
I mean,
digipack
I
thing
think I saw
cases.
an image that it was kinda like the book, like a book.
That's the image they have on Blu-ray.com. Not Blu-ray.com, that's the image they have on, um, what's the
Criterion?
Criterion, where it looks
Yeah.
like a book a la Agnes Varda,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and
what I did.
those are the individual, like, sleeve pages
These
for
are what
each
the
disc.
artworks for each movie, yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy,
And
I'm looking at it.
that's what we're gonna get. These are gonna be the artworks for
This
each
is
movie
actually
of.
looking a lot smaller than I thought.
Yeah, it's not it's yeah, it's like a smaller Agnes Varda, really. It's thinner, it's not as
Well,
wide.
yeah, that had so many movies in it.
Yeah. But, I mean, he sounds I mean, he's a director I've definitely heard of and am aware of, but I've never seen anything, so, um, I'm yeah, this is right up my alley of excitement of discovery here, and I know he's a kind of one of the founding, if not founding, but like essential kind of film directors that if you're getting into the history of cinema, that it feels like you need to check out some of his work, so,
Yeah,
um
definitely a big time, historically significant director,
Yeah,
filmmaker, person, really, in not only Italian cinema, I think cinema in general. This is the type of person you study
yeah,
in
in
film
school,
school and
yeah,
stuff like that, and break down his work and go into the person themselves and the influence on their work, all the stuff. I'm
yeah,
hoping this box set is basically going to be, you know, a film course in a box where it's gonna give you all the details you need about Pasolini, his life. I mean, granted, you can go to the Wikipedia page and read all that yourself, but it's a lot funner hearing other people talk about it, in my
yeah,
opinion. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this set. It's coming out June 27th, so you can kind of brace yourself and hold on until the July Criterion sale at Barnes& and Noble, if it indeed does happen this year, which we always say that it may or may not happen, but it keeps happening,
yeah.
keeps happening.
I mean, I've actually heard that Barnes& and Noble's doing well,
They made a big
so
comeback, actually.
yeah, yeah,
They were on the brink, I think, for a while. They had to close a lot of stores, and
yeah,
then I think they kind of, like, changed certain things and their marketing and their stores, and they've kinda made a bit of a comeback, which, yeah, they're a big chain store, and you don't really root for the big chain stores anymore, but there's not that many big chain bookstores around anymore, or bookstores in general, so you gotta kinda root for whoever's gonna stay alive in this economy. I'm just hoping more of them carry movies, because now it's getting to that point where they're not carrying really movies anymore. I think I've said this before, only 1 in my entire state still has movies, and
yeah,
even in the adjacent state, some of those, um, don't have movies anymore either, so you gotta go further out. Granted, you can always buy online, but come on, the thrill of the hunt in the store, that's what you live
yeah.
for.
You gotta go. That
You
gotta
gotta
go to the
fill that
store.
need. You
Yeah,
gotta
you
fill
gotta
that
get that
need,
that anticipation on the drive to the store,
and then you
hoping that
get
it's
there.
there.
And then you notice other people, like, looking, so you gotta grab the stuff right away before they get it,
You gotta
'cause
push
'cause you
them out of the
think,
way. Like, get the fuck out of the way.
yeah, because you gotta think that, oh, they're gonna buy the same stuff as you. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
oh, yeah, I've done that before where I've seen people starting to grab certain titles, and I'm like, "Oh, no, they're grabbing the same stuff I am." And then you kinda feel bad when they're looking for the same thing that you already have in your hand. And then you're like, "Oh, too bad, too
I
bad."
don't ever feel bad. It's all about me, man.
Heartless.
Yeah,
So
it's
heartless.
when it comes to my movie collection.
That's very true.
Um,
But speaking of movies, I think that's kind of it for this week. There's not really much else. Oh, there was one thing else. There's a July title from 88 Films, coming out on July 25th. If you can put your mind in a July mode in March, The Last Blood, starring Andy Lau. I love how they start this off with Andy Lau is out for blood, literally.
The Last Blood.
How many movies have the word blood in it? You'd be incredibly surprised. Oh, also, we didn't talk about this. There was a tiny tease a couple of days ago from Arrow. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, the Bruce Lee thing.
Is it?
I mean,
Uh,
if you're watching the video, there's a nice little it's like a 20-second clip or something like that, and it's like an orange background, and it's like
that is Bruce Lee.
you can kinda see in it, and it shows Bruce Lee's face a couple times. I think the idea is that we're gonna get some kind of 4K Bruce Lee thing, you know? So,
Perhaps a box set? That'd
you
be
might be
nice.
rebuying Bruce Lee for the 3rd time, in the
Yeah,
last few years because,
yeah,
of
I'm
course,
looking
we've
at as I look up at the Criterion set that I already
the
have.
yeah, the Criterion set we already have. Of course, before that, we had
Shout
the Shout
Factory.
Factory stuff, and then, I believe they
And
re-released some of that stuff
before that,
too.
we have the DVDs
Yeah.
that have been around. Before that, VHS. Um,
Yeah, yeah, they've been just beating us in the fucking face with this shit.
Yeah, the
Um,
one little hint here that is interesting is they did throw up the Golden Harvest
yeah,
logo, so it's obviously specifically Golden Harvest stuff from their catalog. I was kinda hoping for a Golden Harvest collection, a la their Shaw Brothers sets, just to, they could just go along with those, like, on the
yeah,
shelf or whatnot, be a nice presentation. A good way to show off, "Hey, here's my Shaw Brothers, here's my Golden Harvest." But I'm pretty sure people probably could separate those already if they wanted to, but it'd just be nice to go along with those sets. But yeah, so Bruce Lee is on his way. It's what it looks like. Um, I don't know when they're going to announce that. Have they
I'm
announced
guessing
this
it's
month's
probably
yet?
it'll be the no. They are always the last week,
Yes. So
last Friday of the month.
either this coming week or the following week.
It's the last Friday of the month, I believe.
Okay.
It's always Arrow. Is the last week. So when usually can always put Eureka right there with him. So, but
Yeah.
yep,
So anything else? I know After Sun is getting a Blu-ray release that you can order right now directly from A24. A24 does this stuff from time to time, where either they'll release their own movies through themselves, and it's like special deluxe stuff you can only get through them after it's already been released by somebody else they have a distribution deal with, or in this case, it seems to be they're releasing it straight from themselves. But I know it's already got a Blu-ray release through Mubi of all people. Um, so I saw that was interesting. I want to make people aware of that because I don't know if it's going to get a Blu-ray release from anyone else if they're putting it out themselves. I know they've done that with director's cuts of Midsommar, 4K editions of Midsommar. You can only get through them, I
yeah,
think. They did the last Black Man in San Francisco. They put out a release for, and they've done it with. I think Stephen, don't you have like no, you have their screenplays, don't you? Remember they were
yeah.
putting out the
I
super
bought a
deluxe
few.
screenplays?
Yeah, I bought a few of the screenplay books. I think they don't they have a Green Knight edition
Yes, yes, they do.
um as well. So yeah, they put out a few of their films in their own kind of deluxe editions. And they got some interest. It's expensive as fuck though. Them screenplay books
Yeah,
are like $60 a pop. You know,
those
they're
those Blu-rays and 4Ks aren't exactly cheap either. Just for this
no,
After Sun Blu-ray is $30, and
yeah.
I don't even think there's any like special features that at least that they've announced. It's kind of just I think it's just the movie.
Hmm, that's interesting. But yeah, that's it. You know,
I mean,
Oscars are
yeah,
still going on right now in the background. I'm sure Andrew's been paying attention, kind of. Um,
not really. I gotta catch up.
all right. Well,
Oh my goodness, the Cocaine Bear just came on screen.
oh shit, it won something.
No, it's
It
presenting an
came out
award.
this year. No,
Um, Elizabeth Banks and someone dressed as the Cocaine Bear are now presenting an award.
nice. That's worth
Nothing
it.
says class like beers and cocaine, I
That's
guess.
hope they're announcing the best picture. But
Oh, and now he's shadowboxing. Oh, this is fantastic.
yeah, I could see Ryan Reynolds being the one in the costume, like with his
I
snarkiness.
I wonder if they're gonna reveal who it is. I mean, I have it on mute, so he could be talking for all I know.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode of Chasing Labels by number 90. Once again, please go like and share this. Please go over to either our podcast feed, our YouTube channel, subscribe and rate and review. It really helps us out. Andrew, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at Kevzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can also find me at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be our Instagram, Twitter. You can find me at my letterboxd at Chasing Labels. You can find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.